Konoha, top psychiatrist, fixing ninja trauma, from Tsunade to Obito. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 1, Land of Fire, Konoha Village. It's another year of graduation season, and after the final graduation assessment, all the students who can graduate are concentrated in one classroom. The Naka ninja teacher said one name after another on the podium and led the team teacher. Anyone who is assigned to a group will leave with the corresponding instructor and start their ninja career. The children sitting on the stairs seats below looked nervously waiting for their fate. At this time, a teenager who pushed the windproof goggles to the door of his head looked at the girl next to him with an expectant face. "Lin, I found out the news. This time we should be companions in a group, which is really good." As he said this, the eyes of the boy named Uchiha Obito were full of light. "Young Muai, nothing more." But the girl who heard this closed her eyes and sighed softly, and 2 purple oil paints appeared on her cheeks, and a helpless look appeared. Noara Rin had a small face and looked at Uchiha Obito, who was deliberately sitting beside him, with a serious face. "Uchiha-san, please don't just call me by name, please call me Nohara-san." "Yes, Nohara-san." Facing Noara Rin to seriously correct himself because of a title, Uchiha Obito is painful and happy. He didn't know if his behavior was licking the dog, but he knew that the other party would only say a few more words to him when he called him by his name. Even if he finally got the slightly angry words of the other party, he was willing to die. Now he is fantasizing about his future when he and Noara Rin team up, go on a mission together, live and die, and finally be happy. The girl sitting on the other side of Noara Rin saw this scene and covered her small mouth lightly, trying not to laugh out loud. Noara Lin looked at the appearance of his friend Shi Ri-hong, pouted and pinched Shi Ri-hong's hand, and the two began to make a small fuss. And the fight between the two finally eliminated the tension in the hearts of the two of them. "Lin, do you say that Brother Bei Yan can choose us as instructors? I'm so nervous." Sunset Hong's words were so light that only Noara Rin, who was attached to her ear, could hear them. Of course, Brother Bei Yan has already said it, naturally he will not regret it. Noara Rin's words were firm, as if she wanted to tell herself in this way that what she had decided before would definitely come true. The 6th class, Sarutobi Asma, Shimura Taro, Shun Sleeping Shina, Guide Kami Shinobu, Sarutobi Goto. The 3 ape flying Asma, who were named, got up straight and walked outside the classroom. Before going out, Ape Fei Asma looked in the direction of Sunset Red, and when he found that Sunset Hong did not look at him because of his departure, and was still talking and laughing with the girl next to him, his heart was not a taste. But soon, the puzzlement on his face disappeared, and he returned to a proud look. As the son of the current 3 generations of Hokage, and an eldest brother who is the leader of the Dark Division, he believes that he will be able to get what he wants in the future. 7th class, Uchiha Obito, Sasuzuki Sumi. Speaking of this, Naka Shinobi Sensei paused for a moment and explained. There are 3 people in the 7th class, one of whom has graduated to carry out the task, because he is too young to join the 7th class, and the leading teacher is Watergate Wave. Wow. When the students heard that someone in the 7th class was on a mission, the students who had not yet experienced the beating of the ninja world showed their expressions of surprise and admiration. The students were even more shocked when they heard that the teacher who led the team was Watergate. You know, Wei Feng Shueimon has a young generation of geniuses in Konoha Village, although some people are ranked with it. But this also makes all students envious of obtaining a genius ninja as a teacher. Some of the students with family power have heard their families say that this mentor named Buofeng Shuimen is not simple, and the lowest future achievements are elite forbearance. Even if it is at the level of Sanshin or Konoha White Fang, it is very possible. The other party becomes their own guide to shinobi, which is equivalent to climbing on friendship and hugging their thighs. How this is not enviable. Except for a few people present, they all looked at the two named with envy. Among them, to say that the most intense mood swings are Uchiha with soil. He asked his people yesterday, and the news that the other party inquired said that his guidance was Buofeng Shuimen, which is correct. And his companions, among them are a very smelly fart, don't say anything. But the last person is likely to be Rin Noara. But now, you tell me that the person is not her? At the urging of teacher Nakanin, in the envy of the rest of the students, and in the slightly unnatural sunny smiling face of Wave Feng Shuimen, Uchiha left the classroom with a sad face. He saw that even if he was leaving, Noara Rin never looked at himself except for saying goodbye. The episode passed by, and in the end, only Rin Noara and Yuri Hong, who were a little nervous, remained in the entire classroom. The 10th class, Noara Rin, Sunset Red, guiding Shinobu, is Katayan. Naka-sensei's voice fell, and Sunset Red and Noara Rin jumped and cheered. Yay! Is it Bayan's brother? As the cheers of the two women fell, a very handsome man walked out the door, dressed in ordinary clothes, with a smile on his lips, looking at the two women who were running towards him. Bei Yan waved his hand. Let's go. Find a place to rest first, and then your ninja career can be regarded as officially beginning. Yes, Teacher Bei Yan. 2. Episode 2. Bei Yan crossed and came to the world of ninjas. Because he was dressed, he came directly to Konoha village, and finally became a psychiatrist with hundreds of millions of points of fame by relying on his profession before crossing under the arrangement of the system. At that time, the situation was a few years after the Second Ninja World War, and the ninjas who fought were more or less psychologically problematic. Bei Yan managed to take root in Konoha village by combing through the ninjas and patients who came to his door for help. Since it is a crossing, then the system is naturally essential. The system of Bei Yan awakening is called the daily check-in system. It will score according to the patients treated by Bei Yan every day, and finally check in at 5 p.m. to get the final reward. There are many kinds of rewards, including weapons, ninjutsu, blood succession limits, daily items, and more. Relying on treating patients for check-in, Bei Yan's strength has now reached the elite level of upper patients. Of course, there are only a few people who know Bei Yan's strength. Bei Yan is a ninja who has just been promoted from the middle ninja to a special shinobi. He looked at the two girls chattering behind him, secretly saying that the sins he had created still had to be cleaned up by himself. Originally, Rin Noera would follow the team in the Wave Feng Shui Gate, but Sunset Red was asked by Sarutobi Asma to bring Hokage into his team. Both will embark on their own plot lines. But under Bei Yan's intervention, the plot lines of the two were completely different when he arrived. Who let him hurriedly want to see the world after crossing over, and accidentally carried out a heroic rescue on the two of them. Being relied on is also a matter of course. Soon, the three of them arrived at a shop selling dim sum and randomly found a seat to sit. See what you want to eat, no limit today. Teacher Bei Yan is the best. 2. After Sunset Red and Rin Noera shouted, they immediately flipped through the ordering manual. Taking advantage of their efforts to order, Bei Yan began his career as a tutor. You all know that I have a job, the instructor is only part-time, and the focus is still on the psychological counseling clinic. The two women nodded gently while ordering food. So, those small tasks to find cats and dogs, I will use the shadow avatar to let him take you to perform. If it is a high-level task, I will personally take you out. Of course, I will do my best to teach you the special training on weekdays, but most of the time you need to work hard yourself. Hearing this, Sunset Hong and Noera Lin looked at each other, and they looked calm with each other, obviously knowing the situation of Bei Yan for a long time. Don't worry, Teacher Bei Yan, I will definitely work hard. Yes, I will train hard too, Sunset Hong and Noera Rin hurriedly assured. They had previously persuaded Bei Yan to be their instructor, and now the companionship time is shorter, but as long as Bei Yan teaches, it doesn't matter if the time is shorter. Afterwards, the two women let go of their bellies and ate the dessert on the table. After eating dessert, Bei Yan made an appointment with them to go to the training venue at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning and left. As for whether to carry out the bell-grabbing test like anime, Bei Yan said that it is not needed. He has known the two women for several years, and what their strength and good at are they good at. Bei Yan has long been familiar with it. Even in the future, the two of them specialized in Bei Yan were planned. Although he is a mentor who is not very responsible, since he has agreed, he will definitely do his best to do a good job. Rin Noera and Sunset Red are separated on a street, and the direction in which the two live is not the same. The Sunset Red family is not small, and his father Sunset True Red is Konoha's top illusion ninja, and his strength has reached the elite upper ninja. Each elite shinobi is the backbone of a ninja village, plus he is good at illusion, has a high status, and is trusted by 3 generations of Hokage. When Sunset Hong returned home and said that her instructor was Bei Yan, Sunset True Red was happy. As the mainstay of Konoha village, he naturally sees things very long-term and knows a lot. In his opinion, whether it is Buofeng Shuiman or Bei Yan, they are very excellent geniuses, and future achievements are definitely not under him. But the reason why he chose Bei Yan, one of the most fancy to him, was that the last time he went to Bei Yan for psychological counseling, the other party was more rational and wise than Watergate Wave. It's not that Buofeng Shuiman is dull, but Buofeng Shuiman is too idealistic and easy to go wrong. A true master of illusion will never be immersed in a dream made up by anyone. Too ideal character temperament will definitely cause a fatal blow in the future, no matter how high the achievement is. Hong, then you have to follow Teacher Bei Yan to study hard. Maybe your father will rely on you in the future. At the dining table, Sunset Jinhong looked at his daughter half-jokingly. Okay, leave everything to me, Sunset answered with a smile. Sunset Hong's mother, Mrs. Sunset, couldn't help but laugh out loud when she heard this. The atmosphere of the family is very harmonious and joyful. On the other side, after returning home separately from Sunset Red, Noera Rin's footsteps suddenly stopped. She felt a slight body, as if her fate had taken a turn and avoided the point of mortality. It's such a strange feeling. How can I have the idea that I have avoided death? Noera Rin continued to stroll, but her heart was puzzled. Can't figure it out. She no longer thought about things she couldn't figure out, but happily went in the direction of her home. From now on, Brother Bei Yan will be her instructor. Hee. Episode 3. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Bei Yan walked to an elegantly decorated clinic, pushed the door and walked in. Before closing, turn, closed, to, active. The clinic covers an area area of 200 square meters and has 3 floors. The first floor is the waiting room, and all patients who come to the door need to wait on the first floor before calling for a number. The second floor is the office location of Bei Yan, and it is also the treatment and consultation place of patients. When it comes to counseling, he always encounters patients who say their friends are sick. In this case, Bei Yan generally listens quietly to the other party, and directly suggests and asks the other party to leave. There are 3 rooms on the 3rd floor, all of which are temporary lounges. Except for noon, Bei Yan basically does not spend the night in the clinic. When I came to the 2nd floor, I opened the office door and saw a lazy figure lying on the sofa. The light yellow hair is spread out, the beautiful eyes are closed, the bright red lips are half closed, and the blue-purple mark on the forehead makes it more mysterious and mature. In fact, these are irrelevant. The most striking thing is the altitude that far exceeds the head after lying flat. "Gee," I said, "have you seen enough?" While Bei Yan was watching brightly, words with slight contempt came from the woman's mouth. Even if the woman did not open her eyes, she could feel a burning gaze at her at the door. If it weren't for the fact that the other party was an acquaintance, it wouldn't be just a fluttering sentence. She will directly cripple the other party. Well, it's okay, I've seen enough today. Bei Yan didn't care at all about Tsunade's slightly threatening words, but he still looked away and sat in his office chair. That's right, the woman lying on the sofa is none other than Tsunade of the Senju clan. It is also the future 5th-generation Hokage. If you want to say why the other party is lying in his office, it is naturally because Tsunade is a patient of Bei Yan. Tsunade has a phobia. It is not a physical disease, it is a mental illness. Although Tsunade almost gave up treatment in the later stage, it was not yet a time of complete discouragement. As long as there was a way to treat herself, she was still willing to cure herself. This symptom was caused by her inability to return to heaven during the Second Ninja World War because her younger brother Rope Tree died in front of her. As for the factor of Kato's breaking in the original plot, this time and space disappeared for some reason. In this time and space, Kato did pursue Tsunade in the Second Ninja World War, but after being explicitly rejected by Tsunade, he died in the Battle of Iwahide Village the next day. At that time, Tsunade and Kato had only met strangers a few times, and after lamenting the impermanence of fate, they did not pay attention to it again. According to the original plot, Tsunade at this time is very close to leaving Konoha to travel the world. It is also because he has the only family in his heart that he cannot let go, so he continues to stay in the village. As for the clansmen of the Thousand Hands clan, there are no more clansmen of the Thousand Hands clan on the surface. Tsunade, who opened his eyes, stood up straight with a slight flip, went straight to Bei Yan, and slapped his palm on Bei Yan's table. Syllable. The momentum surged forward, and Bei Yan's gaze followed the whole time. Tut. Eye-catching, indeed. Tsunade glared at Bei Yan angrily and sat on the chair opposite Bei Yan. How long will it take for my phobia to be cured? Tsunade's words were a little serious. Bei Yan adjusted his mood, and his fingers lightly tapped on the tabletop. Within 10 days, it can be regarded as a complete elimination of hemerophobia, he said, then got up and took out 2 bottles of milk tea from the homemade refrigerator next to him. It was only before opening the refrigerator that he lifted a complex sealing technique. Then he threw it, and Tsunade took it with a smile on his face. Seeing Tsunade eagerly put in the straw and drink it, Bei Yan shook his head funny. Sure enough, this milk tea is much better than wine. After taking a big sip, Tsunade looked at Bei Yan with a resentful expression. I said, are you going to set up the sealing spell in the refrigerator? No one here steals from you. Hearing this, Bei Yan rolled his eyes. You are kind enough to say, come to me on the first day, I will kindly give you a bottle of milk tea. You will directly grasp all the inventory after I leave. Take it away. Seeing Bei Yan staring at him, Tsunade, who knew that he was at a loss, had a wandering look in his eyes, pretending not to see it. No way, when she drank it for the first time, she was directly captured by this just the right sweetness and taste. Coupled with the long-term use of alcohol to numb her own hands, milk tea is already one of the few things that can keep her positive attitude temporarily. With this kind of good thing, she naturally packed it all and went home. Of course, she paid for it. As soon as Bei Yan saw Tsunade's wandering eyes, he knew that Tsunade wanted to play a trick. After glancing at the other party angrily, Bei Yan took a sip of milk tea to suppress the anger. Well, in every sense, smashing the bar and smashing the mouth, Bei Yan felt the just right taste of milk tea, and couldn't help but be very satisfied with what the system signed in. Tsunade, it's time to continue with the treatment. When Tsunade heard this, his face blushed a little, and his expression was a little twisted. Bei Yan walked to Tsunade's side and knocked the other party's head directly, causing her to let out a cry of pain. If someone was here and saw Bei Yan casually banging Tsunade's head, but Tsunade dared to be angry and did not dare to speak, he would definitely be shocked. What is Tsunade's identity? The first Hokage and the second Hokage are her eldest grandfather and second grandfather, and they are also the powerhouses who won the title of 3 Shinobi in the Second Ninja World War. Today's strength has climbed above the elite ninja and below the shadow level, that is, the so-called quasi-shadow level powerhouse. But such a woman with a very strong identity and strength willingly let a young man need at this time. Episode 4. After an hour of treatment, Bei Yan flicked his wet right hand and turned towards the bathroom. He is going to wash his hands. Tsunade was now covering his face with a pillow, and his ears that could not be covered on both sides were red, as if he had just done something shady. When Kitayama walked out of the bathroom, Tsunade was still in that state. He knew that Tsunade would indeed need to ease up a bit to return to normal. As for why, it is naturally related to Bayan's special treatment methods. The psychotherapy of Bei Yan is not limited to verbal hypnosis and drug assistance, but can also use physical methods as the main treatment. For every patient, Bei Yan has several treatment options. Taking hemophobia as an example, if the person who came was not Tsunade, Bei Yan would not have used the treatment methods that work on Tsunade today, because it doesn't fit. Well, it's really inappropriate. Of all the methods, Tsunade chose the most harmless and gentle treatment option. This plan is also only suitable for Tsunade. Well, it's been half a year, haven't you gotten used to it yet? Tsunade, who was already about to remove the throw pillow, jumped off the recliner and rushed directly to the bathroom after hearing this. Then there was a brief sound of running water in the bathroom. With a bang, the door opened, and Tsunade went directly upstairs using the teleportation technique. In this regard, Bei Yan has long been surprised. He lay back in the office chair, drinking milk tea and reading a book very comfortably. During this time, there were no customers, and only a few regular customers came to the door. Moreover, there are no high-tech products in the ninja world of this era. Things like computers and cell phones weren't produced until 60 years after Konoha, and even became widespread by Boruto's time. It can be said that Bei Yan, who has no customers on weekdays, can only lie down and read books and touch fish. After about half an hour, Tsunade finally appeared in front of Bei Yan again. Feeling the heat on the other party's body, as well as the slightly wet hair, Bei Yan knew that Tsunade was bathing. How does it feel? As Tsunade sat in the chair in front of him again, Bei Yan asked with a smile on his lips. When Tsunade heard this, he remembered the treatment method just now, and his face turned a little red. Fortunately, it was quickly suppressed. Also, okay, I could feel my fear of blood wane. Getting this effect, Bei Yan nodded in satisfaction. It can gently solve the problem of feeling blood phobia, and it is not in vain to waste Bayan's efforts during this time. Just when Bei Yan signaled the other party to come back tomorrow, Tsunade gave him something wrong with his emotions. He looked at Tsunade, who also happened to be looking at Bei Yan. I heard that you once let Mikoto avoid a fatal crisis, and it obviously didn't happen, but you told her as if you knew in advance. Mikoto believed your words and deliberately avoided that time period, and in the end, not only was she not seriously injured, but she strengthened her voice in the Uchiha clan. And the one that time of Joshinai, I want to know. Speaking of this, Tsunade's expression darkened, and great sadness appeared again. However, it was much better than when Katayan first saw Tsunade show this expression, and he was not so grief-stricken. I want to ask. Several words were said in succession, but Tsunade could not make it clear. I don't know if I am worried that the truth is too shocking and too cruel, or I have some scruples. Bei Yan was also not in a hurry. His eyes calmly looked at Tsunade's hesitant expression. In the end, Tsunade still raised his head to look at Bei Yan. Without waiting for Tsunade to speak, Bei Yan spoke directly. Are you sure you want to know? Tsunade didn't say what she wanted to ask, but she knew that Kitayama knew what she wanted to ask. The two looked at each other for a minute, and Tsunade got up directly to leave. She didn't think it was time yet. At least until your own hemophobia is cleared. Bei Yan looked at Tsunade's back as he left and shook his head slightly. Sometimes it's harder to know the truth than to be in the dark. As for Tsunade leaving directly, it was also expected by Bei Yan. He knew that Tsunade was not running away from the battle, but was ready to wait until his fear of blood bleeding was healed before asking. As the granddaughter of the first and second Hokage, Tsunade, whose strength has reached the quasi-Kage level, is not an idiot who does not understand anything. If it was in the Ninja World War, she might not have sorted out the ins and outs. In recent years, I have used alcohol to relieve my worries, not only to numb my sadness, but also to escape the cruel truth that I am unwilling to accept. As Tsunade's psychiatrist, he knew that once Tsunade completely resolved his hemophobia, it would prove that Tsunade was back in his heyday. The truth that has been deliberately avoided will be accepted as much as possible. Maybe by then, the Thousand Hands clan will no longer have anyone she cares about. Suddenly, Bei Yan felt a force peeping around the periphery, and a sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth. 3 generations of monkeys have spied on others with the help of their own ninjutsu, but really think I'm a bully? He looked at a mirror hanging on the wall with an indifferent expression. This mirror is checked in the system, and its role is to play an anti-peeping role. Once 3 generations of monkeys peek with crystal balls, the mirror will begin to remotely absorb the person using ninjutsu and use it to feed back an unrelated scene to the other party. Not only vague, but also without any content. The caster will also have to interrupt the telescope technique in just 10 seconds, because chakra is overused. The telescope also has disadvantages, and ninjas whose strength reaches the level of upper ninja will be perceived if they peep rashly. Ape Flying Sun Slash is bullying Bayan strength has not really reached the upper tolerance. thinking that he can unscrupulously explore Bayan's secrets. As everyone knows, the ape flying sun chop was discovered from the beginning. Bei Yan is not a person who will be rewarded. He advocates friendly solution to all problems. When Tsunade is ready, don't blame him for adding oil and vinegar to say a few more words. At that time, whether the ape flying sun is alive or dead, it can only depend on the luck of the other party. Episode 5. Ding. When the bell rang, Bei Yan knew it was time for him to sign in. Sign in. Ding. Check-in successful. Get chakra +1, pupil +1, spirit +1. As soon as the voice fell, Bei Yan felt 3 forces pouring into his body. Chakra wandered around, and chakra, which already had hundreds of cards, added 1 again. The increase in pupil power made Bei Yan's originally dark eyes appear 3-hook jade riding wheel eyes. The Senga jade riding wheel eye was obtained by signing in when Bei Yan first treated Tsunade. During this time, there will be an opportunity to strengthen the pupil strength once every month at intervals. Every time his pupil power increased, Bei Yan felt that his 3-hook jade riding wheel eye evolved towards the kaleidoscope riding wheel eye, different from Kakashi's Sharingan. Because Kakashi does not have Uchiha bloodline, he is always opening the Sharingan, and just opening the Sharingan costs a lot of chakra. Bayan Sharingan is a Sharingan that appears when the system directly allows his body genes to be freely expressed and translated. To put it simply, Bayan's is not out of thin air with other people's bloodlines, but his genes themselves express this kind of bloodline that fits the chakra. This is the bloodline of the riding wheel eye belonging to Bei Yan, the kind that can be inherited. Feeling the growth of pupil power, Bei Yan intuited, as long as his 3-hook jade chakra eye can evolve into a kaleidoscope chakra eye, then he can step on the shadow level. Tsunade's healing is a perfect opportunity. Bei Yan, who became a little stronger again, walked straight to his house after clocking in and leaving work. Just as soon as I went out, I met a female ninja of Uchiha waiting in front of the door. Seeing the person coming, Bei Yan blinked. Lord Bei Yan, the Great Elder invites you to the Uchiha clan. Without answering this, Bei Yan asked, well, how long have you been waiting here? Half an hour. Hearing this, Bei Yan was unable to complain. I said, Yaji, you can go upstairs directly and talk to me. You don't have to stand at the door every time without saying a word. Bei Yan stroked his forehead. He said, why didn't anyone come to consult just now? It shouldn't be the reason for Uchiha Yaji. But now is not the time to think about this. Bei Yan waved his hand and changed direction and walked towards Ujiba's clan land. Along the way, Bei Yan was teasing this girl who didn't like to talk. Don't look at Uchiha Aki is silent and doesn't like to speak, but her strength is at the elite level of shinobi, and she is Uchiha Makoto's right-hand man. And this time, the great elder who invited Hokulin to the Uchiha clan land was Uchiha Makoto. Under the interference of Bei Yan, Uchiha Makoto not only did not marry Uchiha Fugaku as a wife, but participated in the battle for the patriarch of the Uchiha family. Uchiha Makoto's grandfather is the grand elder of the Uchiha family, and his power is not much less than that of the patriarch. After showing her strength and skill, Uchiha Makoto easily skipped her father and inherited the position of Grand Elder Uchiha. Now, he has the support of the 4 members of the Uchiha family, which is comparable to Uchiha Fugaku. The remaining 2 Chin clans held on as neutrals. To say that the person who the Uchiha family hates Bei Yan the most is Uchiha Fugaku. At the beginning, Ichiro Uchiha, the father of Uchiha Fugaku, decided to let Uchiha Fugaku and Uchiha Makoto marry. If the patriarch marries the great elder, then most of the power of the entire family will definitely be in the hands of the patriarch in the future. Uchiha Fugaku is very satisfied with Uchiha Makoto, and has long wanted to remove Uchiha Makoto's petite flower. Makoto Uchiha lacked assertiveness at that time, and in desperation, she was about to compromise. But one day, when passing by Bayan's clinic, the ghost sent him in. After coming out, Makoto Uchiha began to get out of hand. Uchiha Makoto tore up the so-called marriage contract when she went back that day, bluntly saying that she did not like Uchiha Fugaku and refused to marry. When Uchiha Makoto's grandfather heard this, he decided on the spot, and everything was up to Uchiha Makoto himself. That night, Makoto Uchiha had a long conversation with her father Kanzuya Uchiha and her grandfather, Ichiro Uchiha. No one else knew what they said that day. It was only a month or so after that day that Uchiha Ichiro suddenly announced his abdication and gave up his position to Uchiha Makoto to inherit. Makoto Uchiha's rise to the top has the support of more than 3 adults. When the rest of the uninformed Uchiha clan heard the news, they were all stunned. Not only Uchiha's people were stunned, but the rest of the family forces in Konoha village all opened their mouths, not knowing what was happening. Just as the other families and Hokage wanted to explore, suddenly the Uchiha family split. Kindness. It is also not right to say that it is divided, but completely divided into 2 camps. In addition to the neutral camp, the other 2 camps of equal strength are centered on Fugaku Uchiha and Makoto Uchiha. I don't know what kind of tumultuous operation Uchiha Kento is. Originally it would take a few years, and Uchiha Fugaku, who had accumulated merits and rose to the throne, began to run for patriarch in advance. Although he claims to be the patriarch, His name is not justified because the number of people who support him does not exceed 3/4 of the total number of ninjas. And then what about? Mikoto Uchiha and Fugaku Uchiha began a struggle for power that lasted for half a year. This scene directly made the ninjas of Konoha village and even the rest of the ninja villages numb. Episode 6. Since the second generation Hokage Senjuma, he has been implementing a policy of suppressing Uchiha. In the third generation of the Hokage Ape Flying Sun, it is even more sparing no effort. First, Uchiha was stationed in the Konoha garrison, but any violent law enforcement phenomenon would be noted and spread by the dark part that was closely watched. People are easily influenced by the outside world, and when they have preconceived notions, it is easier to step into misunderstandings. Now Uchiha's Konoha garrison has no good reputation at all. On the surface, the people of Konoha will succumb to Uchiha's law enforcement strength. And I don't know how many times I cursed Uchiha in the mainland. Even if the Uchiha garrison does more credit, they will do their best to protect Konoha's safety and ensure the stability of the Great Rear. Ordinary people still believe what they hear, not see with their own eyes. Today, the Uchiha tribe has been relocated to the remote area of Konoha village. This is tantamount to actively losing the influence to the center of power for the rest of the clans, which is due to the current situation of the Konoha center. And for the split of Uchiha half a year ago, the happiest are the few people in the power center of Konoha today. At the beginning of Uchiha split, Sarutobi hurriedly brought 2 Konoha advisors and Shimura Danzo to the Uchiha clan. It is said that in order to avoid the intensification of contradictions, he wants to appease the Uchiha family and make them reconciled. However, the combination of his and Shimura Danzo's red face and white face exacerbated the contradiction and division. They did not want to unite Uchiha, but wanted to accelerate the formation of splits. The Uchiha clan is too powerful, especially when the Senga Jade Riding Wheel Eye evolves into a Kaleidoscope Riding Wheel Eye. It will cause fear for the 3 generations of Hokage and others. That's right, fear. Even though the Ape Flying Sun Slash has reached the shadow level, known as the strongest Hokage in all generations, he is still afraid of the birth of the Kaleidoscope Chakra Eye. If they can divide Uchiha and greatly reduce their comprehensive strength, it will definitely be a big victory and a great thing for their group of people who are good at playing with power. As long as there are people who care, they can find that Ape Fei Richo has been in a much better mood in the past half a year when he heard about Uchiha split, and his work motivation has risen rapidly. As the group of Konoha's darkness, it is even more intensified to strengthen the special training of the root ninja, and there is a situation of being ready to move. As for the rest of the families, they all stood silently and did not speak. Everyone is waiting for an opportunity. Bei Yan walked on the way to the Uchiha tribe, and the more he walked, the more dilapidated the buildings around him became. This means that his environment is getting closer and closer to the edge of Konoha village. Finally, a vast complex of buildings appeared in front of you, incompatible with the slightly desolate surroundings. Uchiha tribe arrived. Uchiha Aki walked in front and led Bei Yan towards an entrance. Bei Yan is no stranger to the Uchiha tribe, and he has been here more than a dozen times. Each time, Mikoto Uchiha invited him over in the name of home treatment. Originally, he didn't want to work overtime, but seeing that the other party was his own patient and the shot was relatively generous, Bei Yan had to accept it gladly. It's just that entering the Uchiha clan land this time may be a bit of a twist. In front of Uchiha Yaki leading Bei Yan to the necessary path, 5 people dressed in Uchiha costumes were waiting for their arrival. One of them, a Uchiha clan member in his 30s, stood in front, followed by 4 people behind. Seeing the gloomy face as always, a smile appeared at the corner of Bei Yan's mouth. Uchiha stopped 5 meters away from Uchiha Fugaku and the others. Although his hands were still hanging down at his sides, the entire figure was in a state of momentum. As long as there is the slightest intention to attack on the other side, Yaji will use the strongest killer weapon. Bei Yan put his hands in his pockets, walked to Aki's side, and looked at Uchiha Fugaku. Seeing the eyes of Uchiha Fugaku, who saw the main lord, the words came from behind him. Especially Shan Shinobi Bei Yan, you are not from the Uchiha clan, and you can't break into the Uchiha clan land privately. Otherwise, we have reason to think that you are trying to steal the secrets of my Uchiha clan, and as the Konoha garrison, I have the right to kill you on the spot. Hearing this, Uchiha Aki and Bei Yan did not speak, and looked at the person who spoke as if they were looking at an idiot. The person on the other side is really when Uchiha Aki does not exist. Get out of the way. Uchiha Aki leaned forward slightly, struck a fighting stance, holding the kunai in his right hand and raising his left hand to launch ninjutsu at any time. And her eyes, from inky black at the beginning, turned into a blood-red 3-hook jade pattern. 3-hook jade riding wheel eyes. This gesture made Bei Yan speechless. It is worthy of Mikoto's personal bodyguard and secretary, and prepares hard steel without saying a word. Fierce enough, the few people on the opposite side, including Uchiha Fugaku, all looked like great enemies. The 4 people in the rear took out their weapons one after another, and the eyes of the 2-hook jade and 3-hook jade riding wheel bloomed, staring at Yaji on the opposite side. Uchiha Fugaku also opened the Sengoku Tama Sharingan, but he did not make defensive or offensive moves. Episode 7. As a representative of Uchiha's conservative faction and a patriarch with a bad name, Uchiha Fugaku believes that Uchiha Aki knows the consequences of his actions against her. If Mikoto Uchiha arrived, it would be no problem for the leaders of the two factions to fight. This is a confrontation within the rules. Once the subordinates take the initiative to attack the leaders of the two factions, it will represent the full-scale outbreak of the Uchiha Civil War. Therefore, don't look at the confrontation between the 6 pairs of chakra eyes on the scene, and the weapons and the preparations to launch ninjutsu are just bluffs. The only thing that seems a little abrupt is Bei Yan, who is standing next to Uchiha Yaji. He still kept his original state, not meaning to be defensive at all. And soon, the confrontation at the gate of the Uchiha tribe was spread by all walks of life. The first is the interior of Uchiha that is closest to the gate of the Uchiha clan. Mikoto Uchiha was sitting in the room waiting for Bei Yan. Suddenly, a graceful figure appeared outside the door, kneeling down on one knee. Great Elder, Mr. Bei Yan was blocked at the entrance of the clanland by Uchiha Fugaku, and the two sides are facing each other. Hearing this, Uchiha Mikoto's originally dark eyes were instantly stained red with blood, and the eyes of the three-hooked jade riding wheel turned rapidly. Even, vaguely, the three-hooked jade riding wheel eye will come up with a more complex pattern. But in the end, it did not continue to change. The inner guard will come with me, let me mobilize the clansmen, and once things are out of control, directly destroy the old guard. Yes, Mikoto Uchiha quickly put on her armor and disappeared in place using the teleportation technique. At the same time, there were also 9 levels of strength at the upper ninja level, with a strange mask on their faces, and only a pair of 3-hooked jade chakra eyes were exposed. It is worth a day that the 9 figures look at the figures, all of them are women. This has to mention the new school that Uchiha Mikoto splintered from. Because Uchiha Mikoto is a woman, she is also the first woman to become the Grand Elder of the Uchiha family. With the deliberate co-optation of Uchiha Mikoto, most of the powerful female ninjas of the entire Uchiha clan were taken in by Uchiha Mikoto. Of course, there are many male Uchiha strongmen, but the number is not as good as that of women. As for Uchiha Fugaku's old guard, they are basically all men. Interestingly, the Uchiha family basically intermarries internally. After Uchiha Mikoto collected most of the female ninjas, it can be said that the minds of some male ninjas of the old school were hooked. Don't look at Uchiha Fugaku can now be on par with Uchiha Mikoto. If Uchiha Mikoto really wants to do whatever it takes, at least 2% of Uchiha Fugaku's camp ninjas will defect to Uchiha Mikoto's side. Also receiving the news were Sarutobi Hinata and Shimura Danzo. Inside the Hokage office, feud dash. A puff of white smoke exhaled from the ape flying sun's mouth, and the thick smoke confused his face, making it appear even deeper. Now in Konoha for more than 40 years, Sarutobi Hinata's age difference is 1 or 2 years old to 50. At this age, the physical activity of ninjas is in the early stages of aging. It is precisely because it is in the early stage of aging that the strength of the ape flying sun slash is not much worse, if not compared to the strongest young age. Listening to the members of the dark department who reported in front of him, Ape Fei Ri's eyes narrowed slightly. Are there any signs that they are clashing and really fighting? Sarutobi asked the question he wanted to ask the most. The dark commander in charge of transmitting the intelligence at the scene thought for a moment and gave a negative answer. The probability is just a confrontation. There will be no battle scenes. Probably. Ape Fei Ri took a puff of old smoke and swallowed the clouds and mist again. You said, Dr. Bei Yan is also here. Who is he going to the Uchiha clan to give psychological counseling? This? Subordinates do not know, didn't hear the exact answer, and Ape Flying Sun Chopper didn't care. In his opinion, Bayan's going to the Uchiha clan land will not only make him jealous, but he will not think that the person he is optimistic about wants to join Uchiha. He felt it was a good thing. Who caused the Uchiha split? In the final analysis, it was a few days after Mikoto Uchiha came out of the Bei Yan clinic. At that time, how Bei Yan did the mental counseling for Uchiha Mikoto, Sarutobi no longer cared. What he valued most was a simple psychological counseling, which actually made a woman who originally looked weak become the leader of the division of the Konoha clan in one fell swoop. Every time he thought of this, Ape Flying Sun would laugh out loud. He also did not doubt Bei Yan's identity, and whether the Uchiha split was Bei Yan's own ghost, and whether the black hand behind it was Bei Yan. The moment he wanted to know all the information about Bei Yan, a pile of information appeared on his desktop. The information collected through the dark part shows that Bei Yan's parents were members of the Konoha medical ninja before their deaths, and their strength reached the level of Naka ninja. Among them, Bei Yan's mother is a special ninja who has studied psychology. His parents were killed during a mission to accompany the battle, falling into the enemy's trap, and that S-level mission was a task that Ape Fei Richo personally ordered to be completed. Thinking of this, Ape Fei Ri Chopper felt a little more guilty and appreciated Bei Yan. Sacrificing himself in order to complete Hokage's mission is not the embodiment of the will of fire. Episode 8. Ape Flying Sun Chopper also tested Bei Yan, and finally came to an answer that satisfied him. In addition, He instilled the will of fire in him, and it was impossible to say that this time to split the Uchiha clan was Bei Yan in order to repay his appreciation and kindness. His final conclusion was, Bei Yan root is red, passed down in the same vein, worthy of trust. In recent years, Bei Yan has made a lot of achievements in the field of medical ninja. Don't look at Bei Yan as a psychiatrist, his medical ninjutsu and illusion are not weak. Let Bei Yan become the guide of Noara Rin and Yuri Hong. How can he not let him move closer to his team? In the eyes of Sarutobi Hinata, Bei Yan is expected to become the second Tsunade. One Bei Yan plus one wave feng shui gate, the appearance of two genius civilian ninjas, made the ape flying sun chop the old face a little more smile. At this moment, the door of Hokage's office was violently pushed open, and a man with a bandage around his head and right hand walked in. Seeing the person coming, Ape Face Sun's brows furrowed, but it quickly relaxed. With a wave of his hand, the dark captain disappeared in place and continued to monitor the situation in the Uchiha clan. Tuanzong, you are getting less and less big and small. This is the Hokage office, not your root base. Remember to knock next time you come in. Hearing this, he always felt that he was the most suitable Danzo to be the Hokage, and he almost couldn't hold himself back. With his crutches clenched, he struggled to adjust his mindset. I'm not angry. When I get to your place, Ape Flying Sun slash, you will immediately give me the fuck off. Tuanzong, who suppressed his anger, directly said what he meant. Uchiha has begun to split, and now there is a confrontation, and it is the best time for us to cut in. I, as the promoter of Uchiha Fugaku, you, as the promoter of Uchiha Makoto, find the right time to directly destroy Uchiha. Don't miss the opportunity now. After Tuanzong finished speaking, he found that Ape Fairy Chopper was still swallowing clouds and spitting fog, and did not reply. He was a little anxious. This is an evil race. Now is the best time to destroy Uchiha. What are you waiting for? Sarutobi looked at Shimura Danzo. His gaze was able to kill. Even if you want to destroy Uchiha, you can't hide what you do directly when you say it. Although the guards are secretly guarded by their own family and the ninjas attached to the Sarutobi family, they are very loyal to themselves. You know, he's Hokage. For no reason, a killing order was given to Uchiha. Is there something seriously ill in Tuanzo? Besides, now because of Bei Yan, he split Yujibwa. Coupled with Uchiha's increasingly strong smell of gunpowder, the outbreak of an internal war in the future is a sure thing. As long as you wait until that time to sit on the fisherman's profit, you don't need to make a move. You can get the maximum benefit, and it's all their own. If he rashly participates in it and is known by other families, can he still sit in this Hokage position? Who can safely give up the position of the Hokage to the people who destroy a great clan? In today's situation, the best thing to do is to wait and wait for the harvest. Tuanzong, he will mention it again at this time. Uchiha is an important clan of our Konoha, an indispensable member of our village, and an important combat force against foreign enemies. Are you trying to weaken our Konoha's power? Or do you want to give other hidden villages an opportunity to make Konoha doomed? Sarutobi straightened his waist and spoke with a straight face, and the more he spoke, the more excited he became, as if doing this according to Tuanzo would really lead to the above things happening. When Tuanzong heard this, his face turned blue and white. He has worked with Sarutobi for so many years, and the temperament of the other party is not clear there. In the end, it's for your old face. They want to gain fame and maximize profits. Every time, he hesitated. I really don't know how the teacher chose him as the Hokage in the first place. If it was me who proposed the break, how could it be the turn of the ape to be the Hokage? As long as I become Hokage, there will definitely be no civil war in Uchiha today. As long as you become a Hokage. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that this was the case, and he was completely disappointed with the Ape Flying Sun. Today's Ape Flying Sun slash is not worthy of being called Hokage. Tuanzong took a deep breath, and after knowing that this was not feasible, he decided to say the second thing. Give Bei Yan to me. I will let his talent for mind control beyond the mountain clan be brought into full play and become a terrifying hypnotic machine. When the Ape Flying Sun heard this, his eyes narrowed, and murderous aura burst out. Tuanzong, take care of your own hands, otherwise I will definitely not spare you. Bei Yan is my person. I have other arrangements. You don't give me small actions in secret. Also, I'm the Hokage. Don't look at me with that kind of tiger gaze. I'm annoying. Whether it's Yujibwa's affairs, or Bei Yan, or Watergate, if you dare to interfere, don't blame me for being ruthless. Tuanzong's face instantly turned red, pointing at the Ape Flying Sun chop, unable to speak. Finally, turn around directly and leave angrily. Before leaving, a roar echoed through the office. Ape Fly, you will regret it. The Ape Flying Sun sitting in his seat swallowed smoke, breathing slightly shortly, but fortunately stabilized quickly. He rubbed his brows, wondering if he was too indulgent with Tuanzong. For a moment, the Ape Flying Sun account wanted to directly cut off the existence of the root, but when he thought that the affection they had worked with each other for decades was taught by a teacher, he sighed. Also, the role of the root is great. There are many dark sides of Konoha, and many things are not suitable even for the dark part. The root is most suitable. Tuanzo is also the most suitable. After all, I'm too soft-hearted. The Hokage office sounded the somewhat complicated voice of Sarutobi Hinata. Episode 9. After the Hokage and Root took turns, they only stepped up their surveillance. In Bayan's perception, except for the continuous rush of people in the Uchiha clan, the rest of the directions were just more dark and root ninjas. Seeing this, Bei Yan was calm on the surface, and the mainland once again understood the level of the high level of Konoha village's view of the Uchiha problem. Shout! A sound of breaking the air sounded, and a figure dressed in battle armor appeared in front of Bei Yan and Yaji. Looking at the familiar back and feeling the familiar chakra breath, Bei Yan knew that the person in front of him was Uchiha Makoto. Uchiha Makoto looked back at Kataya and Aki, and was slightly relieved to find that the two were not attacked. Sanguyu Sharingan's eyes turned rapidly, looking at Uchiha Fugaku with a murderous aura. This look, where there is still the gentle appearance of resignation in the original work, already has the style of a leader. Uchiha Fugaku, who gave you the courage to intercept the guests I invited? The 5 people on the opposite side, except for Uchiha Fugaku, the other 4 did not dare to look directly at Uchiha Makoto's chakra eyes, and involuntarily took a step back. Although he did not launch ninjutsu, the Sharingan itself contained spiritual impact characteristics, and those with weaker strength naturally could not withstand it. Uchiha Fugaku is worthy of being an old silver coin that can have a kaleidoscope chakra eye in the future but hide it until the end, and he has never regressed because of this spiritual impact. He looked at Makoto Uchiha and frowned. A woman who was originally her fiancé, now the family power has climbed to the point where she can compete with herself. To be honest, he actually had a sense of pride that it is worthy of the person I fancy has such potential. It's just that after the other party is now in a situation where he is not dead, it hurts a lot. Since it is your guest, I naturally will not obstruct. I just hope that great elder, you will keep an eye on it. Don't let outsiders steal the secrets of my Uchiha clan, you know the consequences. Uchiha Fugaku was just here to get an eye drop and had no intention of fighting. Now that the goal has been achieved, he is naturally ready to retreat. Mr. Bei Yan is my honored guest, and he will never be like some villains. His hands and feet are not clean. Makoto Uchiha is not a bully, and she fights back on the spot. Uchiha Fugaku did not reply. His gaze turned to Shang Bei Yan for the first time, and although the killing intent in his eyes was deeply hidden, it was detected by Bei Yan. Then, he waved his hand silently and left with his subordinates. When the confrontation came to a complete stop, Uchiha Makoto nodded at Kataya and Aki and motioned to follow her. In front of the Uchiha clan's gate is not a good place to talk. There is too much eyeliner, and the 3 of them and the inner guard who is secretly guarding soon come to the field where Uchiha Makoto is. After Bei Yan took a sip of tea, Uchiha Makoto, who was dressed in regular clothes, appeared in front of him. Sorry to let you step into Uchiha's vortex rashly. Makoto Uchiha was a little embarrassed to speak. She knew she shouldn't do this, but she had to ask Bei Yan to help her. Bei Yan smiled and shook his head. No problem, what is the relationship between you and me? Just one day after not seeing, it will be divided. While speaking, he got up and walked to Makoto Uchiha and sat down, holding the other in his arms. Uchiha Makoto's face turned slightly red, but she did not resist in the slightest, and buried her head in Bayan's arms with a coquettish face. If Uchiha Fugaku did this again, he would not be able to drink a adulterer and adulteress. The girl he couldn't ask for, but now threw herself into the arms of outsiders, really made the Minotaur ecstatic, pure love tears. Uchiha Yaji, who was sitting on the side, did not feel strange at all as he watched his own great elder throw himself into Bei Yan's arms. She knew about this when her own great elder and Bei Yan had eyebrows. As a lineage of the great elder, Uchiha Aki, who has served the main family for generations, and Uchiha Makoto have lived together since childhood. Her father and grandfather now follow Makoto Uchiha's father and grandfather. It is okay to say that anyone has the mind to rebel, but Uchiha Aki will never rebel. Whether she is stronger than Makoto, or if she is tempted by any temptation, she will follow Makoto with great loyalty. Okay, Aki is still there. Makoto blushed and slapped away Bayan's big hand, and glanced at Aki with some embarrassment. Aki got up directly and walked out the door, rolling his eyes invisibly at the two. I really don't treat her like an outsider at all. Even if her temperament is as cold as her, she is also shy and emotional. Seeing that there were only 2 of them left in the room, Bei Yan did not continue to do anything to Makoto. How's the harvest going? Bei Yan took a cup of tea and drank it, and Makoto naturally added water to it. I am comparable to the strong people in the clan that Uchiha Fugaku has drawn together, and if a civil war breaks out, both will definitely lose. Although Grandpa and Uchiha Kento are both shadow level, they can't make a move, otherwise the second elder on the neutral side will definitely make a move. There are now 3 shadow levels in the Uchiha clan, which are ranked as the old school, the new school, and the neutral school. At the beginning of the Civil War, a rule was established that shadow levels could not be shot. Once anyone commits a taboo, they will definitely be besieged and killed by the other two parties. This is the last bottom line of the top management of Uchiha. Seeing the situation as usual, Bei Yan knew that unless there were masters who were enough to determine the victory or defeat between Mikoto or Uchiha Fugaku, the confrontation would continue. He recalled the shadow-level powerhouses that would appear in the subsequent time period. Uchiha Shursui is only 7 or 8 years old now, and although he has opened the Urga Jade Riding Wheel Eye, he is a member of the old school. Even if the other party achieves the shadow level, it will have to wait until 5 years later. As for Uchiha Itachi, his mother is here in Bei Yan, and she hasn't been born yet. However, he heard that Uchiha Fugaku had married another woman. I just don't know if the child born in the future will be called Uchiha Itachi. Episode 10. After some warmth, Bei Yan and Mikoto began to get down to business. Bei Yan checked in 4 months ago and obtained a note that allowed Sangyu to evolve into a kaleidoscope chakra eye. It details how to use spiritual power to guide the opponent's pupil power, so that it changes and evolves into a kaleidoscope. When he first got this note, Bei Yan was very happy. He thought that maybe he could evolve the check-in chakra eye in the way he wrote in his notes. However, when he found that the helper needed excellent psychological hypnosis ability, he rejected the idea of others giving him an evolutionary kaleidoscope. No way, the entire ninja world may reach the standard for his psychological hypnosis ability, and only he can make the chakra eye have an evolutionary kaleidoscope. But he didn't gain anything. Every time you do it, it is equivalent to treating someone else's psychological problem. The final feedback will improve his pupil strength. Since he can become stronger lying down, then he doesn't care if someone can help him evolve a kaleidoscope. Mikoto, lie down first, it's time to start. When Uchiha Mikoto heard this, she nodded solemnly and lay defenseless on the bed that had been laid out a long time ago. Bei Yan took out a small windmill that could be shaken and spun it in front of Mikoto. Now, watch the windmill's trajectory, open the wheel eye, and immerse yourself in its world. Be careful to let go of your mind and don't be guarded against me. This method of improving pupil strength is the most important point. The caster cannot be guarded, and the caster must have strong mental power. Spiritual power can be understood as the power necessary for illusion. The stronger a person's spiritual power, the higher the potential for illusion. Uchiha Mikoto's 3-hook jade riding wheel eyes appeared, and as the windmill turned, Goyu also began to rotate rapidly. He seized an opportunity to condense the spiritual power he had improved on weekdays and continuously strengthen into the trajectory of the windmill. Soon, when the windmill stopped, Mikoto Uchiha still had her eyes open, and the rotation speed of Sangoya reached its peak. Don't look at Uchiha Mikoto's eyes open at this time, but the other party has long been dragged into a fictional world by Bayan's spiritual power. In this fictional spiritual world created by Kataya and Mikoto Uchiha performs a series of exercises related to pupil strength. Although the pupil power of each improvement is not much, it cannot withstand the accumulated tempering. Every day, Bei Yan would come to Mikoto's place and use her psychological hypnosis ability to help her improve her pupil power. Sometimes it comes over in the open, and sometimes it is directly using the Flying Thunder God. As for the engraving of the Flying Thunder God, Bei Yan is inscribed in an unusual place for Mikoto. Time is ticking. After an hour, Mikoto's already half of the special pattern of the Sharingan began to slow down, slowly reverting to the pattern of the 3-hook jade Sharingan. With a flick of his eyes, Uchiha Mikoto's thoughts returned to reality. When she saw the familiar scene and the figure sitting next to her drinking tea, she let out a long sigh of relief. This method of tempering pupil power is very consuming the spiritual power and chakra of the caster. Tempering once, it will make Mikoto fall into a tired feeling after 3 days and 3 nights of fighting. At this time, she was already drenched and sweat ran down her forehead. Woohoo dash, how does it feel? Bei Yan gently lifted Uchiha Mikoto, who had almost no strength, and held the other party in his arms. Uchiha Mikoto gasped a few times and finally regained some strength. It's not bad. I feel that if I continue to temper for half a month or so, there should be no problem in evolving into a kaleidoscope. Speaking of which, Mikoto Uchiha was more excited than ever. Kaleidoscope riding wheel eyes. According to family records, once the clan has the kaleidoscope Sharingan, they must be able to step on the shadow level. The pupil technique derived from the kaleidoscope chakra eye made everyone in the ninja world even more terrified. The former ancestor Uchiha Ban, with a pair of kaleidoscope chakra eyes, crushed all forces and established Konoha village with the Senju clan. Even if he defected from behind against the original Hokage, he was imprisoned under the premise of imprisoning the 9 tails, and he was close to winning the final victory. Who was the original Hokage? One person is enough to suppress all the shinobi villages. Beating dozens of apes and slashing the sun is not a problem. As long as Mikoto Uchiha awakens the kaleidoscope chakra eye, even the shadow-level powerhouse in the family is not her opponent. You know, there are 3 Gouge Jade and Yujibwa with a kaleidoscope, which is a completely different level of strength. Mikoto Uchiha is sure that no kaleidoscope is born on either side of the family. This gives her unlimited motivation. Thinking of this, Uchiha Mikoto looked at Bei Yan with autumn waves. Yen, stay today. Bei Yan looked at Uchiha Mikoto's emotional appearance, Naturally he would not refuse. Anyway, it was not a matter of a day or two for him to stay overnight in the Uchiha clan. However, the cover-up still needs to be carried out. He held up a technique in his right hand, shadow doppelganger art. Boom! The white smoke dissipated, and a shadow doppelganger that was not much different from Bei Yan appeared next to him. He ordered directly to the shadow doppelganger, "You follow Yaji back to my house, and then go home to disarm the shadow doppelganger." Yes, the shadow doppelganger took the order and left with Yaji, who had been waiting outside for a long time. Bei Yan's shadow avatar has been blessed by the system, and even shadow-level experts can't tell if it's a shadow doppelganger. After taking care of everything, Bei Yan was led away by Makoto. One night without a word,